very warm welcome to you. I'm Hayley Palmer. So good to have you here with me on At Home with Hayley this evening. Now, we have a very special guest for you. Oh yes, it's actor, singer and best known for his West End performances. It's Darren Day. And here is what happened when I caught up with him. Darren Day, it's great to have you on the show. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Hayley. Yes, I'm fine. How are you doing?
Yes, really good. It's a pleasure to have you here. What have you been up to? I know it's lockdown at the moment. What's been going on for you?
I've been quite lucky, particularly through the first lockdown. I mean, obviously, you know, our industry has been in huge trouble over that. Well, I mean, look, it's been a world pandemic, but particularly the world of theatre and entertainment has really been struggling, and the actors and performers and creative people that work backstage, people that work on sets for TV and films. I mean, it's been a really, really tough time. But at the beginning of lockdown, the first lockdown, I was asked to play Joseph again, 27 years after my sort of first night at the Palladium, which is where my career began, really, 1993. And I thought, you know, 52 years old, I'm never going to play Joseph again. So I had a call from Andrew Lloyd Webber's office, and they asked if I would play Joseph in an online concert. And there were 30 members of the past cast, both in the West End and on tour. And we did this really, really lovely online concert. So I did that for a few weeks, which took, you know, we had rehearsals, and then we had the visuals recorded, and then we had the vocals recorded. It was all done 2 meters distancing. You know, that the producer came to the house, had the mixing desk down the end of the lounge, the microphone up my end. He's got a mask on. I've got a mask on up until I start to sing, because it's tough to sing in a COVID mask, trust me. And that's how we did it. And then literally about a week after that finished, I was then, Stephen Schwartz called and asked if I would play Jesus again in Godspell in an online concert, which was a complete kind of repeat of 1993, because I went from playing Joseph to Jesus. So 27 years on, the same thing happens. And then I've just done another project that I've narrated. And what's been nice is I've done a lot for charity without, you know, it's like we've all been working for the Acting for Others charities and Theatres Trust. I became involved in a mental health charity at the beginning of the first lockdown, which I'm now the official patron, sort of stroke partner of. And so things probably that I was due to be on tour with Footloose, the musical. Yes. But these are things, especially the charity stuff, I think, I probably wouldn't have had time to do those things if I'd have been on tour. So there have been some positives that have come out of this lockdown.
Absolutely.
For me, you know.
Yes, well, it's great to hear, and thank you for entertaining us. And I think it is really important in these times, and we are definitely supporting theatres on this show. We really want it to come back. Now, anyway, your first song choice, Bohemian Rhapsody. Why this song, Darren?
A few reasons. I was lucky enough to be at Live Aid when I was 17. I will never, I literally go goosebumps as I talk about it, because from being the youngest kid, as far back as I remember, I just loved this song. And even as a young child, I somehow appreciated the genius of this piece of work. And then, honestly, the goosebumps are running through me, because to see Freddie Mercury and the boys on stage doing that live, it's just stayed with me forever. It was just breathtakingly amazing to be a part of it. And I've just always loved the song. Whenever anyone has asked me what my favourite song is, it's probably always been Bohemian Rhapsody as the answer. And then in, what would it have been, in 2010, I played Khashoggi in We Will Rock You. And the opening night, as we are all singing Bohemian Rhapsody on stage for the finale, Brian May came forward on his guitar, Roger Taylor came forward on the drums, and I'm standing there singing my favourite song of all time with Brian May and Roger Taylor. And I just stood there on the stage looking at 3,500 people thinking, it doesn't get any better than this, you know? And when people say, who's the most famous person in your phone? I'm like, Brian May.
Oh, we can't beat that. Well,
No.
I absolutely love the stories behind this song. Let's check out the video. It was number 1 in 1975. We want everyone singing along at home. Here we go.
Okay.
Is this the real life?
Now, Darren, let's rewind because we want to know, how did it all start for you? Now, someone told me that you were a red coat. Is that right?
Yeah.
And you were also a semi-professional snooker player.
Yeah, I know it's a strange combination. As a kid, I always definitely had a passion for singing, and embarrassingly, my mum tells the story of when Tom Jones used to come on the television, or Elvis. I would pick up a pen or a hairbrush. Thank goodness there weren't phones with cameras on in that day. And I would, pretend I was singing as Tom or Elvis. And
Nothing's changed.
Well, no, I don't use airbrush anymore, but
I do.
do you? Yeah. Well, I do at home. Don't tell anyone. I always wanted to be a performer, but then when I was about 11, I started watching snooker on the television, and it was back in the day when it was huge. We had the likes of Steve Davis and Alex Higgins and Jimmy White, all these exciting players. And so I used to sit and watch it with my grandfather and my dad. And I just fell in love with it. So my granddad bought me a 5-foot table at my nan and granddad's house, and my dad bought me a 6-foot table at my mum and dad's house. So I used to play with my granddad in the day, play with my dad at night, and then there was a new snooker club opening up in Colchester, where I'm from, and I went down there. I got on the table near to where the bar was, where I knew the manager of the snooker club was, and I started putting, and I made 136 break, which for people it's quite a break for people who know about snooker, especially at the age I was. I was only about 13, 14 at this point. And he saw me and he said, do you want to come down here? He said, I'll sponsor you. He said, all you got to do is come in the morning before school, brush and iron all the tables, and I'll give you free snooker after school. So that's what I did.
Good deal.
Yeah, good deal. I loved it.
Yeah.
And then, so I played professionally for a few months, and then Stephen Hendry, who is a very popular and famous player, I played him in, I think it was the British Under-19, and he had to stand on a beer crate for one of the shots. He was so small. And he wiped the floor with me, basically. And I realised at that point that I was never going to be world champion. I was a big fish in a little pond. But when I got up to London with the likes of Ronnie O'Sullivan and those boys, I couldn't compete. So one night, Alex Higgins was supposed to come down to the club to do an exhibition match. And he turned up a little bit the worse for wear, shall we say. He was supposed to play 9 frames. So I sat, it was my job to sober him up. I was pouring black coffee after black coffee into him. But he still only played 5 frames. So there were 4 frames, about maybe 3/4 of an hour of this exhibition show left for a big audience. So I got up and I played, and I did some impressions of the snooker players. And then my mates put me in for Opportunity Knocks when Bob Monkhouse was doing it in the 80s. And so I went on and I won Opportunity Knocks. And so that moment, the direction of my career completely changed. I went from being a pro snooker player to being a full-time entertainer. And that went on. I did the club circuit and stuff for the next 5 years. And then in 1993, I went and auditioned with hundreds of other people at the Palladium for Joseph, and I got it.
Was it right that you got the phone call when you were in Marks and Spencer's in Golders Green? Have I done my research here?
Oh my God, yes you have. That's bang on, absolutely bang on.
Thank you.
Yeah, I went and no, that's full marks, Hayley. But
Thank you very much, Darren.
That's all right. So I went and auditioned, and at the recall audition, I didn't even know I was auditioning for Joseph. I just thought maybe it was one of the ensemble. I just loved the show. I'd seen Jason open in 1991. I saw Philip open in 1992. And anyway, at the recall audition, I did the songs. I went backstage to prepare something else, came back on. And as I was backstage waiting to go back on for my final sing in front of Andrew Lloyd Webber, I saw this sheet of paper, and it had a bunch of names on it. And it was like Luke Goss, Matt Goss, Craig McLaughlin, Morton Harkett from My Heart. They were big stars of the day, Chesney Hawkes. At 5 p.m, there was my name, and I went, oh my God, I'm auditioning for Joseph here, fully part of
Wow.
Joseph. So suddenly very nervous, but I thought, well, let's just do it. I went out there and sang. It was on the Wednesday. On the following Monday, I was in Marks and Spencer's in Golders Green, and my manager, Peter Powell.
Love it.
The phone went. First mobile phone I'd ever had. They'd only just
Nokia?
come out, I think. It was a Nokia, yeah. There's a Nokia, it was. Anyway, so I will never forget. I picked the phone up, I said, hey, and he went, Darren? I went, yeah. He called me Daz, actually. So he went, Daz, I went, yeah.
All right, okay.
The dream coat's yours, mate. That's how he put it to me. And
You're in Marks and Spencer's. Drop the shopping.
I hadn't even finished my shopping at that point. But it was just the most incredible thing. And whenever I talk about it, I do say it was a dream come true, because I played Joseph at 10 or 11 years old in the school play. As I said, when I watched Jason do it and I watched Philip do it, I sat in the audience thinking, this is like one of the best things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And maybe I manifested it, Hayley, because I just dreamed of playing that part. And so
it's true. I totally believe in that. And I mean, it really did change your life, didn't it?
Completely. I was singing in clubs for £50 a night, and I got the gig. The following day, I did my first big interview with Piers Morgan when he was at the Sun. Within 2 weeks, I came out to get the Sunday papers, as I did every Sunday morning, and there were like 15 girls sleeping on my drive or just outside the drive. It was just mind-blowing. And within 6 weeks, you know, I'd done pretty much every television there was to do. Front page of Smash Hits, front page of Jackie magazine, and Just 17. And
Jackie.
it just was, it was absolutely a boyhood dream. And I don't think any other show, certainly no other musical West End-wise, could have done that, because Jason was the biggest pop star when he went into
iconic.
it. So that the profile was huge. Phil's profile was absolutely huge. And they were expecting some big star from the States to come over to make the story bigger than Philip taking over from Jason. And fortunately for me, Andrew decided to go with a different story and to do the unknown kid takes over from the big star.
Yeah.
But my nickname amongst the cast at the Palladium was Darren Who. So, you know, because no one knew me. Even my mum failed to recognise me some days at that point.
Yeah, I think I came to see Joseph at least 3 or 4 times. I think I do know all the colours. Are you ready?
Okay.
Red, yellow, green, brown, scarlet, black, ochre, peach, ruby,
olive, violet, violet, mauve, crimson. Oh, do you know what?
There we go. It was quite good, wasn't it?
Yeah. Can I tell you a little secret? When I was doing the Joseph online concert at the beginning of the first lockdown, I got asked this question on 2 interviews and blew it. Anyway, so there was a big interview. I think it was Loose Women. It was Loose Women. Anyway, I knew the question was coming. So my fiancée, Sophie, as I'm doing the Zoom call on this computer that I'm on now, we've written the colours out. And she hadn't held up. And so sometimes if you watch it back, you'll see me sort of looking up into the sky, trying to remember, but actually I was reading them. And no one knows until this point.
Exclusive. We heard it here first. That's what I should have done as well. I should have thought of that, shouldn't I? Never mind. Anyway, your next song, If I Can Dream Elvis. Yeah. Pretty much on the key here. Why the song?
Well, so I've been an Elvis fan since I was a kid. My dad was a massive Elvis fan. He used to get hold of VHS videos of his concerts from the States, from the official fan club. They used to be sent over. He took me to see my first Elvis movie one Saturday morning at the cinema, and I just fell in love with him. And they did an Elvis season on the TV, and I remember this Saturday afternoon, Jailhouse Rock, the movie came on. And I was hooked on Elvis. And I was 9 years old when he passed away. And it was the first time I was allowed to stay up until 11 o'clock because we knew on the 11 o'clock news they were going to announce whether he had died or not. And so I've been an absolute fan ever since. I sang with Elvis's guitarist, Scotty Moore, at Café de Paris, did Hound Dog and Don't Be Cruel with him in 2002, which was just amazing. And then I went to Graceland, and they took me to Sun Studios, and I sang on the little cross on the floor where Elvis did his first ever recording, and I sang If I Can Dream. The 68 special that this comes from is my favourite Elvis concert. It's the year I was born.
Yeah.
And I just think that never more so than now, these lyrics have always been symbolically very poignant, but I don't think never more so than right now. If you listen to the lyrics, they are very much for the day and age that we are going through at the moment. So.
I agree with that. Definitely. Well, here it is from 1969. Here is Elvis with If I Can Dream. Now, Darren, we've got a question from one of our lovely viewers, Julie. She wants to know, aside from Joseph, what is your favourite musical that you've been in? Tough question.
It's a really tough question, just because I've been lucky enough to do so many sort of real diverse musicals. One of my favourites, because up until that point, I mean, I started with Joseph. I went on to do Copacabana for Barry Manilow in the West End the year after. I then went on to do Summer Holiday. It was a stage adaptation of Cliff Richard's movie in the West End, and Cliff came and sang on the opening night. It was such a buzz. He did backing vocals on the album. It was an incredible experience. But because I'd done very, very sort of, family-friendly shows, the feel-good factor shows, I was doing Grease, playing Danny Zuko in London, which was, again, like a boyhood dream to play Travolta. But as I was doing that, the producers for the Rocky Horror Show came in to see me, came backstage and offered me Frankenfurter. And I was literally going to finish the run of Grease on the Saturday night in the West End and literally start rehearsals for Rocky Horror on the Monday morning. And I think because I had done those type of shows, and this was like breaking out, like being unleashed, if you like, and Richard O'Brien came into my dressing room on the first night and said, "You can say anything, you can do anything, there are no holds barred." And I think because people suddenly saw me play Frankenfurter, where there really, really are no holds barred, and I kind of sort of made fun of myself from the shows that I'd done. And there was stuff shouted out from the audience. There's a bit at the end, near the end, where Brad says, "You're going to kill him? What's his crime?" And someone from the audience shouted, "Summer Holiday!" So I can't repeat on your show what I said.
Okay, family friendly,
But I just remembered what Richard had said in my dressing room, "You can say anything." And it just brought the house down. And it was such an amazing experience to sort of break that mold and do something completely different. And I loved it. I really loved doing it.
Wow. Oh, we had Duncan James on the show, who was in Rocky Horror. And I was saying, how do you actually walk in the high heels? Because it's tough, isn't it?
It was. You had to sort of, I ended up doing the high heels during rehearsals in the end. And, some people say, like, I think it was Barry Humphries I remember talking to about Dame Edna. And he said it was the glasses. It may have been the wig. I can't remember. It was one or the other. And I've spoken to people that sort of have said, who have played a famous character, have said, it's when I put so-and-so bit of the costume on. So for me, the heels would be the last thing to go on in the dressing room. And my dresser said, "As soon as those heels go on, Darren, you're Frank."
That's...
So I did that through rehearsals. I felt that really helped me. But yes, they're tough to work in. And
They are. I'm getting old now, because now I'm like, when I go out, I need to take a pair of flats, because I'm like, can't stand it the whole night. So showing my age now.
Yeah, my lady's the same as that. She's the same as that. She says heels make her miserable. That's what she said to me.
But they look so good.
Yeah. But then Duncan and I did the Priscilla Queen of the Desert just after Big Brother for me. And then we had to work in even higher heels and shoes. So we know what we're doing there. We've got good calf muscles.
Good. You two are good. Big shout out to Duncan James. The next song, Richard Marx, Hazard. I love this song. Why have you chosen this one?
I feel like I'm dropping a lot of names here.
Go on.
It was just before, I'd say it was around 91, 92. I was on the phone and I saw this, the television, the volume was down, and I saw this black and white video on the TV. I thought, God, it's like a film, it's like a movie, this video for this pop thing. Anyway, I didn't think any more of it. And then I was in the car the following day and Hazard came on. And I just remember listening to it, even from the very moment the music starts. I thought, what a haunting, amazing track. And I heard this incredible voice.
Yeah.
And then in that middle eight, in the bridge section, when he really opens up and you realise what an incredible range he's got, I just was like, I've got to go and buy this. And then a day later, I was sitting watching the chart show on a Saturday morning, and I realised that video I'd seen with Sound Down was the song that I'd fell in love with the day before.
Wow.
So I bought everything that Richard Marx did, and I lived with him and his albums for the next 4 or 5 years. And then when I signed to Simon Cowell at RCA Records in around 94, 95, he said to me one day, who would you most like to work with in the world? And I think he was going to think I was going to say some, I don't know, like George Michael or someone that he probably could get. Someone who was big in the UK. But I said, Richard Marx. And he was like, is that the guy that does Hazard and Right Here Waiting? And I was like, yeah. So, okay. And I thought, there's no chance. I was doing Copacabana at the time in London. Anyway, he called me up and he said, in your week off, we're going to LA. And
no.
And he said, Richard wants to meet you and he wants to write for you. And I cannot, Hayley, I cannot tell you, I have never been more excited about meeting anybody ever. So we flew to LA. It was Laurel Canyon in Beverly Hills. We went over to his studio. I sat in his studio with his record producer, with Simon, and we sat there waiting for Richard to turn up. And he was like, he'll be here in a minute, don't worry. Anyway, I heard these clip-clop kind of a cowboy shoes coming up the drive, open a door, and there was Richard Marx. And I'm sitting in his studio with all his platinum albums, the vocal booth that he's recorded every single song he's ever done in, and his big piano. And he's coming, and he just went, hey, Darren, how's it going? And he came and gave me a hug. It was just incredible. And he wrote 5 songs for me. And then we didn't see or speak to each other for quite a few years. But I got back in touch with him last year. And we now we email all the time. He did a video for me for my mental health charity that I'm the partner of, literally weeks ago. And when I think back to the 22-year-old Darren, if someone had told me that, years later I was going to be pals with Richard Marx, I would have just never believed you. So, I just think it's a genius song. And he told me a story. Yeah. He said that the first line he came up with in his sleep was this old Nebraska town. And he said, and I don't know where it came from. He said, I just heard this line in my head. He said, so the next day I went online and I looked at places in Nebraska, and there was this place called Hazard that had a population of, 20 people or something. And he was like, that's what I'm going to write about.
Wow. Darren, can I just say, we need story time every week from you. Like, I was not expecting these kind of level of stories, but it's absolutely fascinating. We are now going to check out the video. Okay. This is from 1992, number 3, Richard Marx with Hazard. Okay. All right, Darren, we have got a quick fire question round for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Ready as I'll ever be. Yeah.
Okay. First song that you ever purchased?
Oh, yes. No, I do know this. It was Long-Haired Lover from Liverpool by Jimmy Osmond. You're going to be too young to even remember it. But that's the first little 7-inch single that I bought. Jimmy Osmond from the Osmonds. And what was very ironic about that was that 2 years ago, when bless Jimmy, he had a stroke on stage. Tragically, he's okay now, thank goodness. But so I was asked to go and take over from him as Captain Hook in Birmingham, and one of the songs I had to learn was a parody to Long-Haired Lover from Liverpool, but it was "I'll Be Your Evil Pirate from Neverland," and it was so hard to learn those new lyrics because I had grown up with that song with the correct lyrics. But I thought how weird that all these years on, I sort of end up going and taking over from the guy that I bought. That was my first single. But yeah, that was the first one.
Wow, love that. Next question: song most played in lockdown. 1 or 2 lockdown.
Okay, this is going to be a very, very out there choice. Okay,
go on, hit us.
It's a song I'd never listened to before, but when I played Jesus in Godspell, I went on YouTube to look up people that had played Jesus. And it wasn't Godspell, it was Jesus Christ Superstar, but there was a guy called Steve Balsamo who played Jesus in London, in the West End years ago. And there's the big song from Jesus Christ Superstar is called Gethsemane, right? And I listened to him sing this song, and I can't tell you, it gives me goosebumps every single time I listen to it. And I've listened to his vocal pretty much every day since the first lockdown. Anyway, the other night, my fiancée Sophie said to me, "Why don't you just drop him a message?" And I was like, "I don't even know how I'd get in touch with him." Anyway, I went onto Twitter, and we were following each other. I didn't even know. Okay? So I dropped him a message, and now we're in touch. And he said, "It's been so weird, Darren," because he said so many times over the years, people have said how much I look like you. And I'm just like, it's just mad, the things that happen. But
it really is.
That is the one I've listened to most. It's very kind of, it's quite an abstract choice, isn't it? But
I love that. I love songs that give you goosebumps. And even though you listen every day, it still gives you that feeling.
If you listen to his version of that, bearing in mind that he was a rock singer before, he'd never done theatre. He was a rock singer with a rock band doing pubs and clubs. He got this part. His vocal is breathtaking. So it's definitely worth a watch.
We're going to check that out. We will do. Songs to play, full blast, driving down the motorway. What can we see Darren Day going down the M25 singing to?
So probably a lot this year is Everybody's Changing by Keane.
Oh, yeah. That's a good driving song.
It's a good driving song. When I did Celebrity Big Brother in 2016, before you go into the house, they ask you for a song that would be a great anthem to play when you got to the final. Yeah. That you would be happy for the other 5 finalists to listen to. So I gave that song because I think it's such an uplifting song. It sort of represents me starting a new episode in life really recently. And so I chose that. And when I got to the final, they played it through. They played everyone's song choice. But,
good old Big Brother. Bring back Big Brother. I miss it. I really need that in lockdown. I really want to watch other people.
Wouldn't it be great? In lockdown. I mean,
it'd be genius right now.
Bubble, wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
But I love smashing that on. Full blast.
Good choice. And last question, song to play before you go out on stage. What really just fires you up in your mind and you're like, yes?
Okay, so this is Elvis linked again. And I'm really hoping that I say it correctly, but there's a Strauss, I think it's Strauss. It's a Strauss piece, but it was the theme to 2001: A Space Odyssey. I think you pronounce it Strat Zarathustra.
Oh, that's very good.
But it was the instrumental song that played just before an Elvis concert. So when all the lights in the theatre went down, this would start. And then as the lights went up at the end of it, Elvis would walk on. It's such a dramatic piece. So just before I go on stage, I feel really embarrassed admitting to this, but I play that song and it really inspires me and it makes me think of Elvis walking onto a stage. Again, it's a bit of a diverse choice, isn't it? But that is the one.
But you've got to do what works for you, haven't you, before you go out there. And, it's tough going out on stage. So I get that. Now, your next song choice, Better Man, Robbie Williams. Now, why have you chosen this one for us?
Yeah. So Rob and I have become really, really close pals sort of since around the beginning of 2016, just after Big Brother. And we just clicked straight away, Rob and I, even though to begin with our relationship was via emails. And we, you know, he lived in LA for a long time. He's now moved. They live in Switzerland now. He and Ida and the family. So we're barely in the same country. We have, you know, I've gone and seen him. I went to see him in Manchester. Went to see him at Hyde Park last year and sat with him before he went on stage. But so most of our relationship now is FaceTime. But we're both sort of night owls, really, and so we FaceTime each other quite late at night. And he's just one of my closest friends, and he has been the most amazing support to me in my life over, particularly last year. It's just been incredible. Couldn't have asked for a better mate. And this song, I saw him do on stage with his dad, and I'm good pals with Pete, his dad, as well. Rob sort of does what he does because of his dad. His dad is a singer and a comedian and a wonderful entertainer, Pete Conway. And I lost my dad in 2003, and so when I watched Rob and his dad is his hero, and if I'm truthful with you, my dad wasn't mine because of various reasons, but I tried desperately to be to my children what my dad wasn't quite to me. So when I see a son and a father, it inspires me with me and my children. And I just remember watching Rob do this on stage with his dad, and it gives me goosebumps. And so I think there's such amazing lyrics. He's such a poet, Rob, and Better Man for us both represents how we've tried to change our lives, really.
Yeah. Oh, wow. We're going to check out the video. Here it is, Robbie Williams with Better Man. Now, Darren, I know you're currently narrating a new theatre sitcom called Fosse, Forest, Ballet. Is that right? Have we got that right?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, you have.
With Kerry Ellis and Louise Dearman. West End royalty.
I know, they really are. And you know, some of the cast play themselves. It's a really, really funny piece. A great writer called David Muscat wrote it, and I think I sort of became involved because the Footloose tour that I was due to be on at the moment, which obviously is not happening, hopefully in the spring of 21. But
fingers crossed.
It was, fingers crossed, eh? But it was going to be directed by a great director called Raki Plews. And Raki has directed this online sitcom. So she got in touch with me a couple of months ago and just said, would you like to narrate it? And I've never narrated before. I've got lots of my mates in the industry who narrate certain documentaries on TV. And I always listen and think, I'd like to have a go at that someday. So when it came through, I thought, she sent the script over. The script was so funny. I mean, it was laugh out loud funny, which not many things make me laugh out loud. And then they sent me the actual sitcom, and it's just brilliant. It's about the world of theatre, you know, but sort of musical theatre. A guy called Philip Joel did some online sketches during the first lockdown about theatre, very sort of self-deprecating kind of the sort of fly on the wall, awkward humour type of things, and that is what this is about. It's, if you think The Office, you're on the right lines. Awkward humour.
Gonna like it then.
It is absolutely brilliant, and it talks about and shows the things that happen sometimes in castings, because you get asked to do some crazy things sometimes when you go to cast for musicals and stuff, and so there's this massive big pantomime going into the Palladium called the Fosse Forest Ballet. It is so funny. I mean, for people in the industry, there will be so many moments where they go, oh my God, that happened to me, or I've seen that go on backstage or whatever. Oh. But I think for everybody, it's a very, very funny piece, and I really, really enjoyed narrating it, and it's still available to stream online.
Okay, well, we're going to check that out. We'll put details on the screen below of how you can check that out at home. Now, your next song choice, Butterfly Kisses, Bob Carlyle. Now, I listened to this earlier, and this did give me goosebumps.
Yeah, oh God. So I was working in Las Vegas in 1997. And down the road from the venue I was playing, I think it was at the Rio Hotel in Vegas, there was a guy called Danny Gans. He was a vocal impressionist. And I went to see, this sounds very showbiz, but out there I bumped into Bill Tarmy and Liz Dawn, who played Jack and Vera Duckworth in Coronation Street.
Legends.
And legends. I got on great with Bill. I got on great with both of them. But Bill said to me, there's this guy playing tonight. I wasn't working that particular night. He said, Danny Gans. So I went and watched him with Liz and Bill. He blew me away. But at one point he talked about his family and his little girl, and there was a big screen behind him. And whilst there were pictures of him with his little girl from a baby and growing up, he sang Butterfly Kisses. And it just brought the place down. It was incredibly, the place erupted at the end. And I was in pieces. I was absolutely in bits. So were Bill and Liz. And then I went to the Royal Albert Hall when I got back a couple of years afterwards to see Cliff Richard. He invited me to the Albert Hall, and he's so lovely, Cliff. And
we love Cliff on this show.
Yeah, we do love him. He's brilliant.
Yeah.
And he sang Butterfly Kisses, and I was like, oh, that song, I remember it. So when my daughter was born in 2006, to get her to sleep, I used to sing her Butterfly Kisses.
Aww.
And then when she was about 3 years old, she came to a concert of mine, and I sang Butterfly Kisses thinking she was out in the audience, and I didn't realize that someone was holding her in the wings. And as I was singing the last verse, which is about walking a little girl down the aisle, and they brought Maddie on, and she was on stage, you know. So I finished the song basically with her in my arms.
Wow.
And it's our song. They videoed that performance, and Maddie's got that on a little DVD. And even now, when we message each other, I put the emoji of the butterfly and 4 kisses, and that's how we always do this thing. And she told me when she came down here recently, she said, Dad, I've got lots of tattoos I have. So she said, Dad, I want to get a tattoo when I'm old enough, and I want to get a little butterfly so it reminds me of you. Oh. So, yeah.
Darren, I can't even cope with this. You're making me cry here on the show this evening. We're going to check out the video while I go and get a tissue, but just enjoy. It's so beautiful. We'll see you after. Now, Darren, we're going to go in with your last song choice, Blue Eyes, Elton John, timeless classic. Why have you picked this song for us?
I feel like I am wallowing in sentiment on your show. But, you know, when you pick the songs that are poignant, you know, most of the time they're poignant for a sentimental reason. I've always loved Elton, and I was lucky enough to meet him at Children in Need in... it will have been 2003, I think. I was doing a full dress Elvis. They got me a jumpsuit, like Vegas jumpsuit, and I was singing The Wonder of You. Anyway, I was walking out at the end, and there was this massive crowd, and I looked over, and in the middle of the crowd was Elton John. And I said to my manager who I was there with, I went, I can't miss this opportunity.
No.
And so I went over and I went, Elton, I'm so sorry. I went, I just wanted to say I'm such a fan. And he went, thank you, Darren. And I'm like, Elton John knew my
first name terms. Love it.
And I mean, that was it. That's all it was, that little moment. Never met him before or since, but I've loved him, I think. I love Bernie Taupin, who writes his lyrics. I love Elton's music. The two of them together are just beyond genius. So I've always loved the songs. I've always loved Blue Eyes, but I'm going to smash you with some sentiment again. So I was not in a great place at the beginning of last year, truthfully. And in April, I met Sophie, who is now my fiance. We met at an award ceremony where we were both up for an award. And we swapped numbers. We didn't see each other for another few weeks, but we got together. We're now engaged, live together. And Sophie lost her father 4 years ago. And one day, I don't know why, I was sitting. She has blue eyes, Sophie. We were sitting on the couch together, and I sang a line of Blue Eyes to her, right? So I'm quite embarrassed now. I've got into this story, but
no, we want to hear more.
Anyway, she said, "My dad used to sing that to me," and I was like, "Oh God, that's really weird," because it's not the first Elton John song that would come to mind, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was in Europe doing a concert 3 or 4 weeks later, and I had my band with me, and I got my MD to write an arrangement out. I had a 9-piece band with me on that gig, and I went into him about 2 a.m. in the morning. I went, write me an arrangement for Blue Eyes for the concert tomorrow night. And it was like 2 a.m. I went, please write me this. So we did it on stage the next night. I did it on stage with my band, and we had it filmed, and I sent it to Sophie, and I dedicated it to her on stage that night. And so it's sort of become our song, really.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's a pleasure to play it out for both of you here on the show. But we've now come to the end. But Darren, you made me laugh and cry on this show. I don't think anyone's actually ever done that before.
Oh, really?
I've absolutely loved hearing your song choices. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for giving up your time and speaking to us all here at Home with Hayley. We really do appreciate it. And we look forward to Footloose next year. We love Footloose.
Please God. But Liz, thanks for having me on. I've really enjoyed it.
It's such a pleasure. It's Darren Day, everyone.
Much love. Take care.
Oh, huge thank you to the brilliant Darren Day. Just wonderful to hear all of his stories and have him on the show with us this evening. Now let's play out that last song. Here's Elton John with Blue Eyes.